Right, like, because it says they can't be twice, so it has to be 120 days on whatever it is. Y'all ready? This clause says 601, that says 559, then it's for the difference. All right, good evening. It is 6 o'clock, so I'm going to call this meeting of the Charter Township of Comstock Planning Commission to order. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First up is approval of the agenda. I think we're still okay with what we've got on here because we still have room to address the housing study. So,
motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Secretary Kreitzer for approval of the agenda. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. Next up, approval of the minutes, May 14th, 2026. Does anyone have any adjustments, amendments, anything that we need to address?
I think you might have meant the 14th.
I'm sorry. Yeah, May 14th, 2026. What did I say? Not that.
You said 26.
Okay, May 14th, 2026. My brain's moving on ahead.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the May 14, 2026 Planning Commission meeting.
Support.
Motion made by Secretary Kreitzer, supported by Commissioner Nichols. All in favor of approval of the minutes of May 14th, 2026, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, we are moving along to citizen comment. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor, and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you will be making statements to the board without discussion from the board members, but you are welcome to make an appointment with planning and zoning staff to discuss your comments further. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Hi, Tammy Keeler. Found out that the golf course has been sold, the whole thing. Now they're talking about putting solar power in there beside the battery plant, in which I know that we're in a moratorium for right now. I wanted to know if we get a moratorium on the rezoning on that, the residents. We'd like a moratorium on the rezoning. We would like to vote on the rezoning. There's a lot of people really teed off right now at that golf course. But I thought that he was only going to sell a section of it. We didn't think that he was going to sell the whole thing to them. So there is talk of that. Not unless they lied to him. I don't know. I have the slightest idea what the deal was on it, but he did sell the whole golf course. There's another thing about building pole barns and stuff like that, especially one that's going to be lived in right down the road from me. I will bring that out. He plans on having somebody move in that pole barn that he has built. on salary. He's planning on renting it out. So I don't know if that's against the ordinance, or if he even come before you with this. I know the ordinance officer has been down there a lot of times, and he basically said I can do whatever the hell I want. And he's still saying that. Tried to warn him, but he wouldn't listen to me. So, because I told him there were standards that they had to go by. You know, I even give them the paper that standards that you guys go by and all this. So I think Casey knows what I'm talking about. I will spill the beans, you know. But yeah, that's what he plans on doing with it, renting it out as a home. He had the water company over there the other day hooking up sewer, stuff like that. So I just thought I'd let you guys know, because what's fair to us is, you know, and that's just like the storage containers on Sherry's property. I don't care if they're grandfathered in or not, like I told her the other day. You know, she shouldn't get special treatment for this, which was signed by Hess. And I don't think she has permission from anybody to have them there. And I think she ought to take them out of there. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. If there is no further citizen comment, we will move on to new business. So first up, temporary sales and services revisions, and over to you, Casey.
Yes, so at the previous meeting, Mr. Tim Shank came and spoke during public comment. Him and Jake's Fireworks submitted a permit for 2 vacant lots that he owns on Sprinkle and ML and somewhere else, and they were denied due to point A and point B of this ordinance that states you cannot have them on vacant lots. And you all wanted to discuss making changes to this. The public hearing was set for next meeting, June 11th, as I was instructed, so hopefully we can work through and get this fine-tuned today.
May I have permission to speak?
Yeah, go ahead.
Attorney Thal, I would like your opinion, as there is a possibility that I may have vested interest in a vacant lot that this may affect, or a family member that may. So would you like for me to abstain from discussion and voting, or am I good to?
If it's just that you own a vacant lot, then, or family owns vacant lots, I believe that you can still participate. It's a general ordinance. It's a general ordinance. It's not particular to any specific proposal or specific use or specific benefit. So I do not believe that that would be a conflict.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Chair.
No problem. Happy to get that out of the way. All right, so we'll just open up a conversation on temporary sales. I know a lot of us have taken a look at this, and we can even go, you know, point A, point B, and roll our way down if that's the most, I think that's probably the most effective way for Casey to capture. All right, so point A, temporary outdoor sales and services are permitted only on lots where there is an existing lawful business establishment.
Do we know why that was put in like that?
No, I do not.
Well, I would just think the general basis is just so that you don't have, you know, pop-up tents businesses on just randomly throughout the township on vacant lots. But, you know, you can regulate it in different ways, you know, in terms of making sure, I mean, it is temporary use. It is also a use that you can tie into the, obviously to the zoning district. Like, it can't be a use that's not permitted in that zoning district, but, you know, so I just think they didn't want to see these type of temporary uses on just random vacant lots throughout the township.
Could we change it? Could we change it just to, so it's permitted only? So they still have to go through the township to get it, and we know what they're doing. And at that point, we can decide if it meets what we're going to do?
Well, you can't, so you already have a process that requires them to get permitted to do the use. So it's really whether or not, you're comfortable with saying, yeah, it could be on a vacant lot, as long as, it's a permitted use within that zoning district. It is only for a limited period of time, 30 to 60 days out of a year. So it's not like it's just going to be a permanent fixture there. Maybe requiring, and some of these requirements as you go through them, but it'd be properly maintained. It's not on some overgrown lot that, if they're going to do it, it has to be, in code compliance, things of that sort.
Have a driveway or
A
safe
parking area
access
of
to
some
get
sort.
on.
Yeah, 'cause
Right, things
yeah.
like that.
You could put in some different requirements or just more stringent requirements maybe to allow for it on a vacant lot.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, A and B, I think, are just,
Same.
they're not necessarily workable. I think we need a paragraph somewhere that adds some certain standards for vacant lots. Like she mentioned, safe access from the road, some sort of adequate parking, maybe you're requiring some kind of, a porta potty or sanitation of some kind. I don't know how far we want to go, but I think my feeling is that we do want to allow temporary use. And as far as the temporary goes, this is very specific. They want to limit it to one particular 30-day period and limit the number of reviews and stuff. And I think, again, like with the mobile vendor ordinance, I think we should have, maybe a 14, a 30-day, and a 120-day licenses available if someone really wants to be there all season, or if it's fireworks, 2 weeks is enough. So I would like to see a variety of licenses available. And I don't know why we'd want to limit the number of times they can renew, but because it would be subject to review, if they're doing a good job, or why wouldn't we?
I do.
So that's how I feel.
I do like the idea, so we did 120 for mobile vendor, right?
180.
180. So I wonder if there should be some synergy there, because potentially, right, a mobile vendor is like, hey, this vacant lot might be an option for a temporary use. Am I overthinking that or underthinking that?
No, that's exactly.
So perhaps there should be some synergy and ability to use that space.
I think Joe's suggestion that we have facilities there as well and parking thought out so that, they're not parking in the street.
If I may, so temp sales, I don't have many, only in the summer months, and it's usually just firework tents, and then people who want to barbecue at the Marathon gas station. That's the only kind of application we received thus far.
But maybe we would get one for a Christmas tree lot. Like that could be something somebody would want to do on a vacant lot.
Okay.
There could be other uses, and perhaps we're missing those opportunities because people are looking at our zoning ordinance and saying, this is a no-go.
Or maybe you have a farmer who just wants to set up at the same place, the same time of season. I mean, the strawberry person is always on Go Road, so I would be for removing A completely.
I think A and B.
A
I
and B
think A and B
completely,
need
yes.
to
I say yes.
strike.
Okay, strike A and B.
So then that moves us to C, and I'm concerned about the first line in C. Temporary outdoor sales and services shall be accessory to the principal use of the lot.
I would strike that.
And just leave, if the applicant is not the owner, like, that should stay.
That should stay.
Somewhere in there, though, and maybe that's the right place to say that it needs to be
A
a permitted
permitted
use in
use.
the zoning district, so that it's just not,
Yes.
the vacant lot in your residential plat or neighborhood.
So perhaps, Casey, strike temporary outdoor sales and services shall be accessory to the principal use on the lot, and instead put something to the effect of,
Could we put only allowed in B1, 2, and 3 districts, commercial districts?
no, I just think
No.
it needs to be permitted use,
Okay.
you know.
Shall be a permitted use.
I'm trying to think of like residential and permitted uses. I'm trying to think of what uses would.
Produce, a farmer,
Well, in ag is, you're gonna
Roadside stand,
have
you could have-
roadside stands and stuff.
Correct.
So
no, I,
Okay, permit,
they will not pay the bills.
I don't think we're gonna have fireworks in a residential area, but,
it wouldn't- yeah, it wouldn't allow.
but the ones that are permitted to those areas should be able.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a permitted use in that zone.
Correct.
Then,
Yeah.
I mean, it's basically allowing a temporary use rather than the permanent use, but it's still the use.
So temporary outdoor sales and services, how did you want that sentence to flow again?
You,
With
I'm
permitted
gonna
uses?
defer that to
you could say
Attorney
like
Thal.
temporary outdoor sales and services shall be, shall be a permitted use.
Within its
With-
respective zone or
Yeah.
whatever.
Within its respective zoning district.
Are we going to recommend different timeframes?
I think that's down
That's
here.
now.
in-
Further down.
Down
Yeah.
in that is right there.
Yeah.
But my question is where it says here, the applicant shall provide signed affidavit from the owner giving permission to the applicant. I wonder what they do in the position of Myers, getting that signed affidavit signed and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To go through corporate policy and all that, it's a lot of hoops, I would think.
Well, they do it. So Menards, Walmart, Meijer, we've always had notarized affidavits from them. Mhm.
It's not, for places that are willing to allow it, they generally have processes built in for
Okay.
the manager to submit for.
And with vacant parcels, you really want to make sure that the owner is consenting to the use, otherwise you're
Totally
going to
agree.
get squatters
Agreed.
onto a property.
Yeah, I almost would suggest that the township develop a form that that they request the applicant to have the owner sign.
We have one
Okay.
that we currently use for the temp
Because I
sale.
think that is a critical point.
Yep.
Any other concerns with C then? Moving to D, temporary outdoor sales and services shall not be located in the public right-of-way or on public property unless a permit has been obtained. I think all of that is probably pretty solid.
Yep.
E, permit applications for temporary outdoor sales and services shall be reviewed by the township fire building and zoning officials. Permit may be issued by the zoning administrator if the proposed use is in compliance with all of the requirements of this ordinance. The permit must be maintained on site and visible at all times. Comfortable?
Yep.
I'd like to see the first line deleted from that. I think you're,
Shall be reviewed by township fire building and zoning.
I don't think you need that if it's temporary.
I would say, like with fireworks, they have to be reviewed by the fire marshal. There's all sorts of fire codes they have to
Okay.
meet. So I'd be a little concerned about taking that out, yeah.
Would we just,
But
I don't think it can be, it's not arbitrary.
could we put at the end if required by law or by state or something
You
like
could say,
that?
shall be reviewed by township fire building and zoning officials.
But doesn't Jay cover that pretty much?
Let's see.
So that the roadside farmer
Well, I
who's
know like
selling
200 square
strawberries.
feet is for a building permit. You know, anything larger than 200 square feet, you have to get a building permit for.
Right, I'm just thinking about a produce sale, if that's something that comes up, do you need all of those people to?
I mean, it's kind of a process that they go through. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with that process. It's not like they can arbitrarily just say, oh, you can't do this. They would have to look at it in terms of whatever the regulations, I mean, obviously zoning officials are gonna look at it under the zoning ordinance. Building officials are gonna look at it to determine if it, you know, how it may have to be secured or other things, depending on the size of it.
Yeah, we
Fire
can't-
department. yeah.
Can't circumvent all review. I mean, we have to make sure that, you know, it's safe and accessible for people.
Is there cost to any of that?
For the application or to have fire look at it?
To have fire and all
No.
those folks?
No.
Okay,
I mean, they may have, you know, alternate power generation systems. They might have various structures built that could be hazardous for the public. So I think,
leave it.
yeah, I don't think we want to circumvent all review. We want to make it accessible and inexpensive as possible, but it still is something that I think the township has a responsibility in terms
Sure.
of public safety.
Sure.
Yeah, it needs to be safe for everyone,
All right.
including them.
Sandy, are you good?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. F, a temporary use permit shall be effective for 30 consecutive days from the date it is issued. The permit may be renewed for one additional 30 consecutive day period with a calendar year, provided the use has been conducted in an ordinance. What is that noise?
Oh, yeah.
Conducted in accordance with the requirements of this ordinance. No property shall have temporary outdoor sales and services operating on it for more than 60 days in a calendar year. So that one, Joseph, you brought up, you think we should have a tiered option?
That would be my suggestion, yes, I think we should have. That would be my suggestion. I think we should have a variety of periods, at least 2 or 3 periods. And that last sentence about no more than 60 days in a calendar year, I would just strike that. And I don't know why we would want to limit renewals and stuff, but that would be my suggestion. I think that, again, it kind of matches the mobile vendor ordinance in that respect, and it gives the applicant the flexibility to determine what he really needs and wants, and gives us a better idea of what we're planning for and stuff, too. A 14-day stay is a little different than a 120-day.
So the applicant will have to choose a box.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. I just don't want them to automatically be up for 180 days.
No.
Well, that's my thought is I do think there should be a maximum at some point that it's like, okay, you can't have more than 180 days of consecutive use.
Well,
Something like that.
what they're doing should determine it, really. Like if somebody wanted to put storage units on a piece of property, that should be allowed longer period, because those are heavy to move. What I mean by that, like sheds,
Yeah.
like you have all these sheds, you drive down Westnage and there's all these businesses that are selling sheds and stuff like that. A longer period of time, moving those in and out, I can't imagine it's real easy.
Right, but I agree that we should set a limit so that they don't try to set up and leave it there in the snow and come back in the spring and stuff. That's not the idea of a temporary business. This
Right.
really is meant to be a pop-up kind of business. But yeah, if somebody wants to come and sell sheds or something that involves a big setup and they want to stay there for 3 months or something, I think we should allow it and make provision for it.
Yeah, I don't know that we need 180 days,
No, I said 120 is what I suggested.
but whatever.
That's 4 months, is it?
Yeah, 120 is 4, 180
Well, we
is
could go
6.
90.
I go with 90
Okay.
there.
To the last sentence, as far as operating on the calendar year, or no? 90 days for the calendar year, or
I think calendar year.
is strike completely, or we keep it in that sentence?
I think no more than 90 as opposed to 60, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, gives them,
But then for the temporary use permit effective for 30 days, is it complicated to create, like to allow somebody to do? I'm reluctant on the 90 days, honestly. I think if somebody seasonally for the summer wants to be out for 4 months, like I like 120 better personally, but if there's
I do too.
consensus at 90,
I think 120 is better, but that's just me.
that's what I picked originally, so I would go with either one, whatever the consensus is. So that would be the limit then, too. 120 days per calendar year, then you
Greg,
clean the site,
Sandy.
you're gone.
Jimmy, you okay with 120?
I'll go with 120. I just was thinking the quarter of a year. That's what I was thinking.
Is there a time period between renewal? I mean, do they have to be off for 5 days and they can do
No, it's
another?
once
It's once a
calendar
year, yeah, okay, calendar year.
No
Got-
more than 120 days in any calendar year.
I got you.
The only time you would be able to link that is if you wanted to do it through the dead of winter and you wanted to go over the course of, the calendar year, which I doubt.
nobody's doing that.
Right, it's the one, we have the winter to protect us there. So is it complicated to have more than just a 30-day permit? Like, can somebody sign up for a 120-day permit instead of just having to do 30 and redo it every time, or?
I would hope so. I would hope that we, again, allow, I mean, how long does a Christmas tree lot stay there? Is 30 days or
They're usually out probably what, the most popular weekend for
Maybe
Christmas,
2 months,
yeah,
maybe?
I think 2 months.
You know,
Yeah.
sometimes it's around 1st of November, sometimes it's around Thanksgiving.
Yep.
I'm just wondering if you have the same people who do more than one thing. Like, they do something in the spring, and then they'll come back in the fall in the same location and do another business.
I think if
And that's
they
why-
do, they could always come to us and ask us
Yeah,
to,
separate permit.
yeah, do something different.
If it's
Well, that's why I was thinking about calendar days in a year. If it's the same business, but they're doing different things, how are we gonna handle that? Just make them go through the whole process again?
a separate product.
Yeah, a different product is what I'm saying.
I think it's by lot. I mean, on any particular lot, I think they can do this 120 days.
I disagree with that.
We should be
Because if-
notified if they're gonna change.
I disagree with any particular lot, because what if you have somebody that does, okay, hypothetically, like, let's say you have somebody that does fireworks, and then you have somebody else that's gonna use that same lot for Christmas trees, and maybe somebody in between is like, I'm gonna sell pumpkin, I don't
Yeah,
know, right?
I mean, you
Like,
you
I
have
think-
pumpkins, you have Christmas trees.
Right.
Strawberries, flowers.
Yeah.
Right, so I don't know that
Produce.
it should be by lot.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think product works better.
I
Casey,
agree
did we
with-
lose?
Each product changes the dimensions of what you're gonna do.
Yeah, I agree.
We're about like tracking this. We use Kava, we use the Kava database to track, but it says like temporary outdoor sales. That's all we see. We could then put in, but we have to click it to then see what the product is. So
okay.
if Jake's Fireworks is doing a permit, I'm like, oh, did they have one this year? No, they didn't. I close it out. So I worry about like tracking that and put like, oh, on Tim Shank's property, he did pumpkins this time. I worry about how we put that to ordinance.
So are you saying you don't track that, what they're doing?
No, I mean, I see they pulled a permit for temp sales, and then if I could click it, I can see fireworks in the notes, but that's how that works. So I don't know what you guys are trying to have written out.
Well, I think a consideration you should think about is that, it's not intended for year-round use there. So, when you talk about the temporary permit, it could be 15, 30, or up to 120 days. So no matter what, you could change your uses out, but it's still just going to be 4 months of temporary use a year on that lot. Because if you allow just by use, it could be then continual
The whole
use,
year.
a whole year of temporary sales on that. Now, maybe that's okay, but I think then it's not necessarily a temporary use
Sure.
on there. Even though they're different uses. It'd be hard to, it's set up, I think, more by lot. Like on this property, you can,
So this statement, no property shall have temporary outdoor sales and service operating on it for more than whatever our agreed upon timeframe is, 120 days in any calendar year, is cumulative. So the way you would track that, and I'm just trying to think out loud, you'd say, oh, there was a 15-day permit here, maybe there was a 60-day that happened here, and it'd be easier for you to know, okay, that lot has timed out essentially or not.
Because right now-
That would work.
Right now, the breakdown is 30 days. If they pulled a permit, I assume they have 30 days, they can get one more. So if we then start to say, okay, it's 15 days, this was a 30-day, so like right now, it's really easy because we can just say 30-day permit was pulled, they have 30 more days, that's it.
So why don't we just do leave it as a 30-day permit and they can only have it 4 times? Is that, because I think there's something to be said for managing the logistics of it also, like on a tracking side. Or do we give them an option to do it, but they have to do it in 30-day increments? So again, you would have tracking side of it, like, so I can pull a 120-day permit with you today, But then you know that's tapped out for that lot because it's a 120-day permit.
Yeah, that could be possible. I just know.
I think we're making it a little too complicated, aren't we?
So how it works is if they have the permit 30 days, they say, hey, I want to do it again, fill it out, check renewal, that's it. Easy process. So it's not like we're making it cumbersome for them to come back in for renewal.
Is there additional cost every time they renew?
I think it's like $25. So if we ask the township board to just waive renewal fees, then sure, that's a possibility. Or not.
Maybe the same use or something.
Sure.
What I would say, you know, as we look at changing these regulations, it's zoning. So you always want to be a little careful in how you do it to start with and see how it works. Because if you make it too liberal and it works poorly, you are going to have trouble peeling it back because people might acquire lawful non-conforming use rights. And so you know, it's better to be a little more cautious and see how it works. And if you think then, oh, there's these situations where we maybe want to do more time on it, then you reconsider maybe and see how it's been working and see if you want to expand it. But you should always be a little conservative in how you open up the ordinance, because if it does go bad, you know, you can't just say, oh, well, no, they're on there year round, so we want to just peel it back. Then you're going to have a problem peeling it back.
Yeah.
Then my vote would be 34 times, like,
Yep, and same use, renewal fees wavered.
if the board is willing to do that, I think
Because
that
then
would
you
be
can
great.
track the usage of it, basically.
Yeah, so for F, it would be the permit may be renewed for 1 additional 30 days, but instead it'd be 3 additional 30 days.
Correct. And no, and then the 60-day at the end for calendar year just needs to change to 120.
Perfect.
And that way, if it's a total disaster, we cannot renew.
But then with the fee, is the fee gonna be on the first one and the second one, and then if they come back for the third or fourth, it's waived?
That can be under G. We can talk about the fees then.
Yeah, you could put that in the ordinance. I
Right.
mean, and the board ultimately has to approve your ordinance. So
Right.
if that's what, you know, if you want to say, if it's for the same use, the renewals are for the same use, that the fee is waived or,
Right.
you know, something, you could put that in there, and then the board, if they approve the ordinance, then it's approved.
Are we saying that from the start, they say I want it for 120 days, but I know I have to come renew it
We're gonna do it in
3 times?
30-day
30-day
increments.
increments.
Right,
They can tell you, I want to be there 120 days,
but
but
they
it doesn't
pay
matter.
for 120 days up front.
They would pay for
No.
the 30-day application fee or 30-day temp sale permit.
Okay.
And then they would come and renew it with me, and it sounds like you all want that renewal fee to be $0. Currently it's
If it's the same use.
currently it's $25 to renew.
How much is a 30-day permit?
50?
I like that renewal requirement because it gives us a chance to review their code enforcement history. You know, if there have been problems,
We don't want 'em there 120
administratively,
days.
right? we could-
But do you want there to
30
be,
days and out.
do you want there to be a fee or no?
I think fees should be $50, like you said up front, $25 for the first renewal, and then if they renew after that, it's free.
So any subsequent renewals after 60 days for the same use are no cost?
That's a lot of money for, that's a lot of money for somebody sitting there selling sweet corn, Jimmy,
I know.
or strawberries.
I know.
No, I'm just saying, you think about those vendors like that.
I think just a one-time fee of the $50.
I agree. I think you're
I mean,
asking
and
an awful lot.
if that same stand is gonna sell fireworks or widgets or Snicker bars, then or loungers, then they have to be permitted again. And be charged a fee. Only my opinion.
Is that correct? I don't know that that's correct. So if the same stand, because the application is based on the person or the business,
Yeah,
right?
Jake's
So-
Fireworks, for example.
So Jake's Fireworks, but if Jake's Fireworks is selling something else under the name Jake's Fireworks, it wouldn't,
They take their tent down and move on. It's gonna be it would be a different business on on the same lot. So for example, Tim Shank has Jake's Fireworks for 2 months. Jake's leaves, somebody comes in and sells sweet corn, then we require that
we require a new permit.
again.
Right.
Yes, Yep.
Yeah, but if Jake's Fireworks sells fireworks for 30 days, and then they're like, we're gonna sell some T-shirts now, under that same permit, like, then we're saying they wouldn't pay. Like, there's no way for her, you're saying they should pay.
Yeah, well, they should pay because they're selling a totally different thing, and they weren't licensed, they weren't permitted to sell T-shirts, they were permitted to sell fireworks.
Right, okay. As long as you
fine.
feel good with that, Casey, I think
Yeah, so for
it's really
G,
for tracking.
are we in support of having that renewal fee be zero after the first $50 you pay?
Larry,
I think so.
Greg,
Yes.
Joseph,
Yes.
Jimmy?
No, but that's my opinion.
What was the question?
So the controversy is they pay $50 for the first 30 days. Jimmy is in favor that they would pay $25 for the first 30-day renewal, so $75 total. They could stay for an additional 2 more months at no cost. So max out of pocket is $75. Or it's the $50 one time, they can renew.
Thank you. $50 one time.
Can we work on the language for that? Would that be under G? Attorney
Correct.
Law? Okay, a fee for review of an application or renewal.
And as long as we understand, we can, Casey and I will work on the language for the
sure.
public hearing.
Gotcha, thank
Yeah.
you.
H, the property on which the temporary outdoor sales and service permit shall be kept in a clean sanitary condition. Litter or trash shall be removed at the end of the day. I think all of that makes sense.
Is that where you want to add the porta-john?
That probably makes the most sense if you want to require,
If we want to require it. I will tell you that I have porta-johns on my property and I have squatters in them all the time, and at least once a month I have the police there.
that would be my opposition to having them because there's no real way to secure them. And so overnight, what does that turn into? Or do you have kids that knock them over and all the things?
Okay.
Yeah, I think they might be more of a headache than a plus.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Bless you again.
They can go to Sandy's and use the bathroom.
A little far.
Bless you.
Excuse me, yes.
Okay, so no porta-john. We good? No porta-john?
Let's not make it.
All right, let that ride. Layout of the site on which temporary outside sales shall permit vehicles to drive onto an off-street parking area so as not to interrupt the flow of traffic on public street. I think that's fine.
That's common sense.
I think it needs to make sure that it has a permitted driveway.
Is a vacant lot gonna have a driveway on it all the time?
I think that would make it a bad situation.
You think?
Well, a house has to has to be approved by the township to have a driveway. A business has to have a driveway or an entrance. Without any kind of entrance, recognized entrance, we'd be actually operating illegally, wouldn't we?
They could have a posted entrance.
Yeah, they may have to go to the county and get
Okay.
permission for an entrance.
Well, if it's on
you know.
Class A road, right, or,
The owner of the property would have to do that, wouldn't they?
Yeah, because.
What
say-
if you could access, so like, let's say there's building on lot A. Somebody is gonna go on lot B that's vacant next door, but they can access through the parking lot of lot A.
Yeah, I think if you can access it through a legitimate approved, because we're talking, with
Right,
gonna be
right.
commercial, most likely commercial
Sure,
property.
sure.
It makes a lot of sense that they could go through and
That-
access it. But if they need their own access.
Right.
They may, and maybe you just put in to the extent required by the county road commission.
Yeah, I guess that would be my concern of saying
Normally they
it
have-
has to have a driveway, as if there is a safe access
Normally they
point.
have to give it like an address then, which is probably not a bad thing either if they have to call 911 or whatever, that,
Okay,
if there is an access drive to it, I think it has to have they'll assign an address.
Yeah, it's important.
Just so it's got an access that's approved.
So,
agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, they can't be pulling on and off of Sprinkle Road.
Right,
So-
that would be bad.
Well, like what Tim Shank wants used to be a bank, so there's access to that.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess we could add a provision that talks about, that there is a access to it approved by the road commission.
So that could go with I, right, the layout.
Yeah, or
Blah,
to
blah,
the
blah.
extent required. Mhm.
And I think the big key is so as to not interrupt the flow of traffic on a public street. That's what we're trying to protect.
And then in there, should we talk about any setbacks? Or if they're setting up tents or anything? I know it's temporary, but you want to
Should the
make sure.
setbacks follow whatever the zoning setbacks are in that zone?
When you're talking traffic on Sprinkle Road or any of those high visibility streets like that, you don't want them too close to the road is all I'm thinking for traffic, for visibility.
Yeah, once you put parking and setbacks in, they could be almost on the road. Or, I mean, the tent and parking, they could be pretty close to the road, which would be pretty dangerous.
I mean, I want to keep this simple. I want people
Yeah.
to be able to use this and, set up
I think
temporary.
it's we very quickly overcomplicate it. Not saying
Which I-
that that's
yeah.
what's doing that, I just think that's
Right.
an awareness to have, yeah.
There is a requirement, such use shall comply with requirements to maintain clear visibility for drivers in section 5.9.
To me, that would be enough
Fences,
then.
subsection C, so that's in D, where it says that.
Okay,
I think that covers you then.
okay.
Fire department approval and building permit shall be required for outdoor sales and services. Proposing to use a tent or other structure exceeding 200 square feet in area. That seems fine.
Code.
Great.
How much is a building permit for a 200 square foot building, a tent?
I do not know. That's all through CABA.
I mean, 200 square feet is like 12 by 12.
Yeah, and it's a tent.
Yeah.
So I would hope that the permit is extremely reasonable.
Yeah, I don't know what they charge for those.
By the-
Could you check on that and let us
Yeah.
know, Casey?
I can ask Mike Alwyn.
But that's code,
Yeah, it's building
so it's
code,
not
so
really
it's not-
anything we can change anyway.
No, it's more just informational to somebody who's going to put something there that they better understand that.
Sure.
If it's 200 square feet or more, they're going to have to comply with building code requirements.
Okay. The area occupied by a temporary outdoor sales and service use shall not exceed 7,500 square feet. No more than one such use shall operate on a lot at a time. Any objections or,
7,500 square feet's a lot
yeah,
for a temporary building.
yeah.
Again, a Christmas tree lot. though.
Yeah.
I mean, that's, that,
No, that would take up that space. It could.
yeah.
The area, or if you did
Wow,
the
that's-
sheds,
That's like 2/10 of a mile right there. 4,360 times 2, so it's almost 2/10 of a mile.
the area occupied by a temporary outdoor sales and service activity plus any required area for emergency vehicles shall not occupy the required off-street parking for the permanent principal use on the lot. Yeah, I mean, I think that sounds fine.
I think that's well written.
Yep. Temporary outdoor sales and services shall be located on a paved surface unless the applicant demonstrates to the zoning administrator that another surface will cause no negative consequences in terms of drainage, access, property condition, or neighborhood appearance. I don't think it should have to be on a paved surface.
I don't either.
Fire Marshal Kessler, we had an issue with this, I think, last year, 2 years ago. He wants firework tents on concrete due to fire concerns. So I don't know if we need to say like firework or like,
Well,
we
wouldn't that
can.
happen with the fire inspection portion?
he could,
Yeah, fire department
Couldn't he
approval,
address
so-
it then with that versus it being in here?
Because one thing is, under the fireworks laws, they were revised a few years back, and townships are no longer allowed to regulate the sales of fireworks. So, we can still have general regulations, but we can't call out fireworks sales, tents, and other things specifically.
My proposal or my vote would be to get rid of the paved part and allow that to be handled by when the fire is, when they're inspecting, they could address it that way, because I don't know that every temporary vendor should have to be on a paved surface. I recognize why.
Yeah, but then for
fireworks.
Attorney Thaw, if we do that with Fireman Kessler going out and telling them, he cannot then address it with them due to the Firework Act, right?
Well, he could address that with them, yes. He,
We
fire
can't call
code,
it out
but we
specifically
can't,
in the
in an
ordinance.
ordinance, we can't regulate specifically
Right.
firework sales structures.
I think the real intent of this, although it may have applied to the fireworks tent and fire concerns, but this talks about drainage and consequences to, anything leaving the property. I think that's how this paragraph should be structured, is that whatever use is there does not allow any kind of hazardous runoff or erosion to occur. That's the importance of what kind of surface this is on.
So would you just say something like temporary sales and services shall be located so as to have no negative consequences in terms of those things?
Drainage,
Drainage,
access,
blah, blah,
property
blah.
condition, and neighboring appearance,
it.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was really, to me, that was the intent of this. I didn't think about fire when I saw this paragraph. I was thinking more in terms of drainage and, uncontrolled conditions of the property.
So you could strike from be located on a paved surface unless the applicant demonstrates to the zoning administrator that another surface will. And then that would run your line
Cause no
together.
negative
Because
consequences.
then it would
Yes.
just say temporary outdoor sales and service shall cause no negative consequences in terms of drainage, access, property, blah, blah, blah.
The intent is here that provision is made for any problems with drainage or
Yep.
other things.
Agreed.
So whether we want to say that explicitly in there also, but.
Simpler the better.
If you just change that wording, it would accomplish that, I think.
Okay,
And it would eliminate the implication here that they have to pave in order to have a tent.
sure. Temporary outdoor sales and service uses located adjacent to residential uses shall not operate after 8 PM or before 8 AM. 8 AM.
I wouldn't change that.
Yeah,
I leave it.
I think it needs to be longer, especially for summer.
but in residential areas.
Well, it says residential
Oh, it
now.
said residential?
It's
Yeah.
I'm to
with you, but-
adjacent to residential.
Yeah, it says residential.
So it's not
anything.
not in residential, it's adjacent to
Right,
residential.
if it's near adjacent, yeah, it can't be in a residential zone, but it could be adjacent to a residential area.
What are the noise ordinance hours? I'm always in favor of following that.
It's 7 to 10?
Yeah, it's 10.
Yeah, 10.
That's what I had down, 7 to 10.
Okay. Fair enough.
I think it just keeps it consistent with noise ordinance.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Consistent is good.
The other thing I had down that we might need to discuss is signage.
Yeah, it's not, there's no signage on here, so.
We have a temporary sign section, but I didn't think we were considering that tonight, so I didn't include it.
Does that include like those signs on two wheels and a pole behind your truck or whatever? Is
Marquee
that what
sign
those?
you're talking
Huh?
about? A portable marquee sign?
Yeah. Is that
Yes.
what you're referring to?
Yes, the only signs that our ordinance doesn't really touch on is like political signs. We don't really touch those, of course. And then also, that's pretty much it, political signs. So any other sign you see in the township, we have an ordinance that covers it.
Well, like a lot of temporary businesses have one of those signs that you pull behind your vehicle and, hook to power and it lights up or whatever to let people know what you're doing.
Or just a banner that they put out.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Jake's Fireworks has banners, I believe, and they pull permits for it. And it's the same kind of guideline as this. For example, like there's promotional options, and there is a one-time application, you can renew it once and that's it. So it's the same kind of guidelines.
So can you get us the amounts of that, what that's gonna cost a person that would do this as well for signage? Casey, or do you know?
So it's 50 or 25, might be 25. So
They're paying for the tent, the permit to sell the fireworks, and then they have to pay for.
So they're paying for a permit to sell. This is a permit that allows them to sell things outside.
Yeah,
And then they need to get a building permit through CABA because they're big, and then they,
a permit to put a
and then
sign
Tim
up.
sign, yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Now you know why people don't want to do business
No,
with us.
no.
Yeah, what the heck?
Yes, this temporary permit that we're issuing them should include, one small
the 30
sandwich board sign.
I don't know, the 30-day permit should include a signage.
Yeah, absolutely. Reasonable signage.
Don't you think, I mean, is that, how do all the other communities do it?
Yeah, I think it's different in varying communities. I can't tell you, like, so like.
I mean,
you
we're
could-
CABA's nickel and diming, and.
So you could add a specific provision for signage for temporary outdoor.
Yes, yes, right in here.
Now, you can't regulate content, but, you can regulate by other things like,
Size.
yeah, right.
So we could allow,
2 4x4
So I think you
signs.
could say like a certain size and
Yeah,
and
you could
maybe it'd
do
be
it
a smaller size.
square
than might
inches or whatever.
otherwise Be allowed in a commercial.
I mean, like a
I mean, 2 foot by
3
4
by,
foot.
3 by 5
Yeah.
or something like that is probably
They go big, don't
appropriate.
they?
I mean, Jake's fireworks
Sure,
sign's
but you
probably
could,
2 foot by 10
maybe we
foot.
could allow a 3 by 5 with this, with this. And if they want to go bigger, then they would apply for the sign, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or something like
Well,
that, where it's.
they've got a lot of expenses, it sounds like. They've got the sign, they've got the permit to operate, and then they've got,
Well-
I'm sure the owner of the property's charging them to be there.
And so I go back to thinking about the smaller situation where a smaller business is trying to go up. A 3 by 5 sign is probably sufficient for a smaller business. Like so if that is permitted with this without additional fee.
Right.
And then you want bigger signage, you would use,
I mean, Jake's Fireworks is gonna want, ooh.
right.
Look, Jake's Fireworks. I
Right.
see the sign from 2 blocks away.
For me, it's
Lots of loopholes.
the visibility, how far can you see that size of whatever sign we're gonna give them? Just because it's a smaller business, it shouldn't have a smaller sign.
No,
I
mean,
just
it
say-
probably needs a bigger sign.
If you're
I
sitting
just say
there
the
selling
signage should be
strawberries,
with the original 30-day permitting. I don't think we should,
It includes.
I don't think we get to make that decision, though.
oh,
Do we?
No, but right now we require a separate sign permit.
No, but we
For
can
temp
change
sales
this,
sign permit.
we can change this ordinance to include a sign permit. This permit that we're authorizing right here in this ordinance.
I didn't mean to open up a can of worms.
No, it's a good
not. I think it's good conversation.
Well, I'm just looking at, we all know what it takes to run a business.
Yes.
Some people don't. And that's why I'm raising these questions, because if you've got 120 days or 30 days to make your money, and it's costing you X amount of dollars, you all know you're not coming back.
You gotta break that nut before you
That's
make
right.
any money.
That's exactly right. And we need to make it profitable for these people.
And I gotta be honest, this is maybe naive, but I would have assumed if I have a permit to have my temporary business
I was
there,
putting a sign up.
that I
Not
can put a sign up.
Board out.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't gonna ask or say anything. I'm putting
Yep.
my sign up.
Yeah.
And then here comes our ordinance officer, and it's all over
Maybe,
with.
right? Maybe.
So
Probably
Casey
will.
and Attorney Thal, how could we do that and allow for this to also include a sign permit?
We could add a O and figure out the language to do that.
Okay.
I would recommend, rather than specify a size, 3 by 5 or 4
Right.
by 4, use square footage. Pick a reasonable square footage, because they might want to have 2 sandwich boards and split that square footage into 2 smaller signs.
For each
But-
direction.
And signage generally is by square footage.
Yeah, I mean, and then they can make that any size they want. Tall and skinny or long and fat or whatever, but, and make it reasonable. Make it like Sandy was saying, I mean, they have to be able to see it. If we pick that empty lot on Sprinkle Road there, cars are going pretty fast, they need to be able to see it from a distance.
75 square feet. That's acceptable.
I think that sounds good. I'd let them have a decent sized
Yeah.
sign.
There you go. There's the number, 75. Out of the air.
And you can always you'll have a public hearing on it. You can think more about it.
Sure.
The public can think about it,
Absolutely.
and you can
That's a
always
change we could make.
revise it.
Okay,
Well, the key is to make it so they can be profitable and
market
want to come back and
themselves.
do it again.
Yep,
I have a question for language we'll work on later. Typically, when they turn in the temp sale permit, I see a sign permit with what the sign would look like. So should we add that in there? So they might, should we see what the sign looks like beforehand when they submit their package?
What do we care?
Or placement? That could be important.
So
due to-
placement could be important, you know, and I think it should probably have to comply with normal sign placement.
Can't block traffic.
You know, it
I
could
think-
still comply with the sign requirements, but it comes with the permit.
I think that's a good suggestion, Casey. Because you'll be able, it gives you an opportunity to educate the applicant so that they have some understanding of what you're going to expect or what we can accept.
Yeah, because they never know what we expect to start with.
Right.
We have to educate them from day one. That's,
Gotcha, thank you. All set?
okay.
So I would say one thing, you know, there's not going to be time to notice that, you know, if it's not been noticed.
For what?
It's been
This-
noticed.
It was
It's
noted.
been noticed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right.
You got work to do.
Okay, yeah, it's going to have to get out done right away then.
It was noticed for June 11th.
Okay, all right.
I saw it in this week's paper.
We ain't playing.
Thought it'd be a quick, just, copy paste, but work to do.
Yeah.
This
we can get
planning
it.
commission works.
Yeah,
Attorney
you do
Thal.
stuff, yeah.
All right, all right.
We move forward.
Any other, before we move on, anything else? Everyone good? All right, beautiful. Let's move on to vacant lot structure discussion. Now, most of this board, in fact, I think all of this board, covered this last year already, right? Like this was something we already voted and decided on, but it's come up several times. So Casey, anything you want to add?
Yeah, no, so I've gotten a lot of phone calls regarding the lack of people not being allowed to put sheds and pole barns on vacant land. You've heard residents come and speak here. And they're like, is there something we can do to change it? So I just want a final definitive answer from you all, if you're open to it, if you're not. And then I could tell these people they don't want it or they're working on it.
I don't think we should allow structures without a house. When you start putting structures up, big barns, pole barns, what they actually end up being is commercial property being run out of residential area, and with it comes all kinds of junk. And anywhere I've seen it, that's what you get. And I know when I was trying to build a house in Pavilion Township, they let me know very quickly I could build a pole barn, but I had a year to build a house or I had to tear the pole barn down, and they would make me tear it down, period. Why are we going to change that? And we've been trying to clean up Comstock forever. And so now we want to go back to that program of junk everywhere? I don't think so. I don't know how you guys feel.
I'm somewhere in the same boat as Larry, but I'd like to have some good discussion about it, maybe some ideas of what people would have for barns. I mean, we have some ideas from two gentlemen that come to every single meeting. I know, is no buildings just a standard thing for every township or every city? And that's why we've adopted it. Because I think it would have some sort of benefit to have a 24 by 26 garage, a 40 by 60 pole barn on pieces of property that would otherwise never be developed for anything.
What's to stop somebody then from, to Larry's point, running a business out of it, running a garage out of it, running a...
Yeah, I'd love to let's have this conversation, because I'm naturally opposed to it also, because I think it would draw blight to the neighborhood. But if somehow we could create an ordinance that wouldn't draw blight to it, I don't know if that's possible.
I'm not opposed to a barn that is partially livable they live in part of it and use the other part for whatever,
That's probably already permitted if you have appropriate plans.
probably.
Well, I feel that we should discuss about what Greg said, and I understand what you said, Larry, but what I'm saying is somebody wants to go tinker and own some land, wants to put a pole barn, and they're not running a business, and they have some show cars or cars they want to fix or work on or whatever, they should be able to have a pole barn, but we've put stipulations, they can't run a business out of there and stuff like that.
Casey, the gentlemen that have been coming to meetings a couple times in a row, the lots that they own and they're talking about, are they small lots?
Yeah, they're about less than half an acre, but we do have two people who asked, and they have about 10 acres or 5 acres. So so they come, but they have
I understand, but I was thinking about those two.
Yeah.
So they're not non-conforming lots. I mean, if they're a half acre, they're certainly buildable.
Yes.
They just choose not to build on them and want a garage instead.
Correct.
Okay, I wanted that clarification.
My thought on that is, I guess it is the purchaser of a property's responsibility to understand what the uses can be for that property before they purchase it. And these individuals are coming in and kind of saying, hey, look, we bought this property and now we can't use it for what we wanted to use it for. And my opinion is that that's their responsibility to look before they make that purchase. So I don't think that we should make a change just because people are upset that they didn't do their due diligence on their property. That's my opinion about that. Whether or not there is, room to negotiate, my fear would be similar. My fear would be blight. My fear would be what ends up happening in a lot with a structure with no home. Because I think that it could go a lot of ways sideways real fast, and that's my concern.
Okay, so in my neighborhood, if I have a boat, some jet skis, a motor home, and a nice old car that I like to tinker on, but I can't put a barn in my neighborhood, or I don't want it next to my house because it would be an eyesore for my neighbors. What does that guy do?
I'd say you got a lot of money, go buy a bigger piece of property.
Well, my question is, I wonder, with me doing real estate,
Shoot,
That's a lot of toys. That's a lot of toys, Greg.
I have more toys than
Again,
that.
buyer beware. I mean, if you've achieved that goal in your life, it's time to move forward, Gregory.
I like my neighbors.
Go for it, Jim.
with people having a second garage, it might be they got a 2-car attached garage and behind there they got another 2-car detached garage and stuff. They don't have a pole barn 30 by 60 or 24 by 32 or whatever, but they have a regular 2-car detached garage.
But we allow that in our
Yeah,
ordinance.
we just changed that, so
We're just talking
it's
about a
definitely
lot
time
that's
for you to
vacant
move.
Right.
and then putting a non-residential building on it. Because I agree with you. I think that's fine. I would even, I could even be convinced if the lot or the parcel was, I don't know. No, I couldn't. I'm going to stop thinking out loud there.
Contiguous.
Yeah.
I was thinking-
But then you sell it, then when they're not, then you sell it separate and then you have problems. So that's why I pulled myself back, but yes.
So we leave everything the same?
I think it stays. That's my opinion.
Let's vote. Right?
We don't have to vote
Well, I
because
don't have to vote, yeah, I'm okay.
it's really a discussion, and if we're not taking action.
Wrestle every one of us.
I think we should move on. I think
I agree with
we've
Amber.
discussed it.
Yeah, we've discussed it. And here's, Go ahead, Joe.
This isn't the ideal situation maybe, but I think we're happy with what we got. We don't want to tinker with it.
and if you have a lot and you cannot put one on it now, a garage or a shed, please list it for sale. Somebody
Right.
else can put a house on it and move forward.
They
Yeah.
should, yeah, if they don't want to
Or let
build
it go
on
on
those
back
lots, they
taxes.
should, someone will build on those lots.
There you go.
Perfect.
And they can buy some ag property where they could put up a storage.
Greg will buy
Well, there is an alternative to that, which if you're living on a piece of property and there's a vacant property next to you, you
And
can
you can
combine
combine them.
those properties, and then
can.
you've got one piece of property, and you can build your pole barn.
Sure can,
Your huge barn that you want to build.
for Greg's boat and all of the things.
So tell the neighbors you're gonna knock their house down
Fancy
and put it.
car. Yep.
Thank you, guys. Not to say it won't come back in front of you residents here,
Sure.
no for me, but from now on, I will say, they just talked, it is now a no. Thank you.
Got it. All right, up next is the housing study discussion that unfortunately we didn't have a ton of workmanship on, but regardless, we might be able to move fairly quickly anyhow. So, can I put you on the spot, Sandy?
No.
Okay, all right.
Who's leading?
I guess,
Joe could lead this time.
well,
Well, I lead with a
can
question.
can I ask a question really quick?
Please, yeah.
Okay, so Casey Attorney Thal, just one last time here on this so that we're crystal clear. A, it's been paid for, right? We get a grant, should we do the right things that then basically reimburse us for said money?
No, so the grant was paid in 3 installments, to 10, 20, and the 20K. We've gotten the 30K, and so we paid the updraw on that money. We are now waiting for our last 20K payment. We have not paid the updraw. We have an invoice waiting for that last grant disbursement.
I thought I paid that, Casey.
Have you paid the grant?
Thought I paid $20,000.
Mike, Sandy?
I'm sorry. I thought I paid $20,000 like 2 weeks ago.
I'll have to confirm that.
You'll have to look at that.
Last I knew, we were still waiting for that invoice from, or that,
Yeah, I remember seeing an invoice come in,
okay.
and I looked at the dates on it and what payment, but I don't
Okay.
remember what it was, so you'll have to check that for me, I'm
All
sorry.
right, can do.
So we still have to comply with the grant terms, no matter what. So even if money has been paid out from the state, I'm not saying they would, but they can claw back money if you
Sure.
don't comply with the grant terms.
So what do we have to do to comply?
Well, the grant terms indicate that we have to amend, the payment was actually for amending the master plan and zoning ordinance. That was what the actual grant was for. Now, this
To accommodate the housing study, or the goals of the housing study?
Yeah, to look at housing and housing issues and flexibility in housing in our community, but the box where it talked about, this is the money for this, it was for master plan amendment and zoning ordinance amendment, which
Did we
Which
not,
we've already accomplished the zoning ordinance part with the PUD.
the PUD, I think, will satisfy that.
And
Because
R1C.
it does, in my opinion, it does provide flexibility that's identified in, we've had presentations on this. Whatever that final product is, it still talks about flexibility and design.
And
And it
density
gives us the
bonuses,
ability to have smaller or, just more flexibility in how
mixed
you
use, yeah.
develop. So I think that part of it is probably fine. I'm concerned about the part, that says master plan amendment.
So I don't know, I can't recall if you were here for this conversation
No.
or not, but,
Josh Thal, yeah.
right. But basically and you guys can jump in if I'm not summarizing this correctly, but we kind of feel like we're between a rock and a hard place because this isn't something that was established by this board. So we didn't choose to do this. It's not something any of us are really in favor of. And so I guess I'm trying to understand or weigh the consequences of,
Yeah, I think the one thing is maybe we could go back to the grant administrators, on it and say, look, we're implementing PUD provisions that do provide flexibility in housing in our community. We have a housing study that was prepared for the township that's part of the basis for looking at the PUD amendments. Can we just, maybe accept a housing plan that was prepared for us rather than amending our master plan to include it?
but we don't want to do these things.
I don't believe it works for us is the problem.
And my question is, I thought last meeting, Casey, that you were going to see if we could get extension.
Yeah.
Or anything like that. Is there any update or news on
The
that?
extension is possible.
It is possible?
Correct, yes, we
Did
can
it say
extend.
how long?
We didn't, no.
I don't think
asked
we
how long.
want to draw
didn't
this
know
out any
How long
longer.
we wanted to go for,
Okay.
how long we needed.
Well, if you,
The only
if you have
thing-
to amend your master plan, that
The
takes
only,
some time.
the only thing I would say is we did discuss when we first sat down and said, okay, here are the things that we want to address as a planning commission this year. Reviewing our master plan was on it. And the reason that we pulled back was because of the financial obligation to start doing that. Our plan does have to be reviewed again next year. So I guess we could review our master plan. I don't want to be handcuffed to these strategies, though.
At the beginning of the year, we said that we would start reviewing and getting prepared for next year.
Right.
But that won't satisfy this, will it?
No, so he did say that, not the housing study really, but having the housing study impact our zoning ordinance will satisfy some of the grant. We will be obligated for the rest of the money that, I don't know what the number would be, because we're not hitting both items, master plan and ZO. We'd only get money for the ZO and claw back the money for the master plan.
So we've been given the full distribution of the grant so far.
No, so we still haven't had we don't have $20,000.
So in theory, we might just be at a net neutral.
And still have to pay Uptown Institute 20K. Because the grant was supposed to reimburse us if Sandy paid.
Unless that's already been paid.
Correct, but it has to be paid either way then.
Right.
Uptown wants their money.
Well, sure. But I'm saying it may already be out of the general fund.
So what would be the bare minimum to amend our master plan?
Do we like the data at all? We could forget the action items. Do we like the data?
The data is 2% of the population of.
I mean, it's
Comstock.
skewed, obviously.
I don't like the data, in fact.
I think we got less responses for our police survey than we did this one.
And you'll find when you do your master
Yes,
plan,
it's not good to get.
you're gonna get the same kind of.
I have a specific question here. There's goals, objectives, and strategies outlined in this document here. You know, the data is the data, and yeah, it's skewed and it's a mess, but if the goals are something that I think we can all agree are pretty reasonable. There's 4 goals, and, you know, I don't have a problem with the language of any of them. Now, is it enough to incorporate the goals into the master plan? The strategies are where we have a problem. Some of
Agreed.
them are too specific and are too extreme, but if the master plan is a plan, it doesn't contain strategies. It tells you the direction you want to go. So if we reference these goals, that doesn't lock us into the strategies, does it?
It shouldn't. I mean, and maybe you can alter the document, you know, in final form, so it is the surveys and the goals, and maybe not, I mean, I understand 100%, like, you should not be controlled by an outside study that was performed for you, that now, like, you have to just adopt. That is not, I can't see how that would have been.
I think
Something,
most of us agree with the goals.
I think the
None of
goals
us-
are good.
Yeah,
It's the
none of us
strategies
like
we
the.
dislike.
And so many of these strategies say evaluate and incorporate or authorize the use of. They talk about libraries and studies and encourage new residential construction, support and incentivize. Those aren't things we can do. Those aren't part of the.
But the Watts, so the Watts thing plays straight into this. The smaller housing.
development that
dense-
he's putting together.
The dense population, the dense coverage. Somehow that's got to be able to be used in this.
Well, yeah, we amended 2 things in the ordinance. We reduced the standards in R1C
Mike.
to a ridiculous extent, and then we created the PUD for flexibility. So on the ordinance side, I think we are covered. It's the master plan, and
But that's where your costs are too. I mean, that's where that document, you're paying, what, $50,000 for. The ordinance stuff, you know, not that much.
Emily, we could ask Emily Pets to just erase the last, like, what, that middle,
It's the strategies.
And just-
So
and
the
just keep
4 goals
Keep the goals.
we are aligned with.
and the data.
Data and goals.
Sure, that's
That
fine.
seems what's appropriate for the master plan, is the goals, is the direction
then-
you want to go in.
To do that, do we have to do a notice to plan?
Yeah, so then we'd have to go through the planning process and add it as a addendum or something to our master plan.
Those
So
four
if we-
paragraphs taken right out of the housing report.
If we do that, if we do a notice to plan, and we're gonna, in my mind, like, and I'm a concrete person sometimes when it comes to these things, like, if we're opening that door, then why wouldn't we review anything else in our master plan at that time?
I mean,
Without,
you don't
like-
have to. I mean, you can, it happens all the time that master plans get opened for a specific purpose, and you deal with that purpose, and it's just an amendment to the master plan. I mean, for all you know, when you get into this process a little more, you might be looking at a complete overhaul
Right.
of your, a new master plan,
Correct.
right? And so that's a lot different than opening up the master plan to make an amendment to it. And, you know, that's, if you can get that report the way you like it, you know, and again, you can't have an outside entity prepare a report that you're bound to. You
Right.
know what I mean? So if it has data and goals, that's fine for a master plan. If it starts to direct how the planning commission is going to move forward, how can you really accept that as a,
And this is
as a
gonna be,
restraint on you, right?
this is maybe trying to think.
That's the
Through
part
an
that we all
obstacle.
had problems with.
Yeah.
So if we do that, right, hypothetically, we say, okay, we notice to plan, we accept the goals and the data, and then in 2027, we are reviewing our master plan and we want to overhaul, like, is there anything to say that we couldn't scrap this then and say, well, we're taking it out? And I'm not saying we're going to, I'm just saying, like, let's say at that point, we're like, well, the data isn't driven enough for the direction the master plan is going.
Yeah, well, the what is the new state law requires master plans to have a housing portion. So if we did actually,
Right.
we have to replace it somehow.
Sure.
And that's, I have a question for you, Attorney Thaw. So as far as an amendment, so a complete master plan overhaul is a crazy long process, very intensive with public input.
Oh, sure, yeah.
This one, what would that look like?
So this one looked very, because we don't have a ton of time either, so it would be compressed into the planning commission doing a notice of intent to plan. We send that out to all the neighboring communities, but we already were gonna have our documents. So we do our notice of intent to plan, then we're gonna say, okay, this is our document. We gotta send it up to the township board and ask them to distribute it. So then all the people that got the notice of intent, all the neighboring communities would then get our amendment, and they would have then 42-day comment period to, once it goes up to the township board authorizes its distribution, then we distribute it, and there's a 42-day waiting period. And then at the end of the 42 days, we can set a public hearing on it at the planning commission. Planning commission can act on it and then amend the plan. And then I think the township board has reserved the right to have final say over the master plan. So then it would go up to the township board then for approval.
Well, that's what we should be.
So that's what, you know, in that process, I think probably, you know, we're looking at like a 3-month process,
Yeah.
probably.
So that would be my thought, just to summarize and see where we're at, is are we all comfortable with Casey going back to Upjohn and saying, we like the goals, can we scrap the strategies, and can we narrow this thing down to data and goals? And then we would be in a workable place.
Yep.
Perfect.
Yes.
Okay,
Sandy?
Oh, I'm just sitting here thinking buyer beware. It's one of those things where
Yeah.
somebody got us into something we shouldn't have
Yeah,
done,
what on earth were
especially
they
with,
thinking?
you'd have to ask him because I don't have a clue, but
Yeah.
I'm just, yeah, and for us to sit here and try and figure a way to get out of it without losing money.
Doesn't feel
I
great.
think we've
Yeah.
compromised pretty good with a good solution so far.
All right, so run with that, Casey.
good. I will now need to ask Mr. for a grant extension. Our extension ends July 20th.
Yeah.
So I don't know what, I'll push it back to like
Yeah,
January
let's
1st?
try to figure out, like.
Township board.
Well, let's just try to figure out, sit down, and I want to then, if this is what we're going to do, find out if they're willing to do that first, you know, at Upjohn, and then we would, let's create a timeline for
And then
everything.
back it.
And then,
Yeah.
when we do our timeline, then we'll tell them, like we have to amend the master plan. It's gonna take,
Yeah.
it's a formal process. It will take X amount of time.
So I don't think you have to go back on the grant yet, Casey. It's first finding out if Upjohn will do that.
Gotcha.
And then we'll proceed.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, guys.
Perfect. Look at us. All right. Moving on to any other business. Casey, you have anything? Wonderful. All right, citizen comment. Citizen may state their name and address, may speak for one time, no more than 3 minutes. And all of the rest of the statement that I read previously. Great. If there's no citizen comments, updates from other boards.
Zoning hasn't met.
Township Board has a meeting Monday at 6.
All right. Training updates, Casey.
None.
Informational, future action items?
Let's see, next meeting will be June 11th, public hearing for, the temporary sales. That is, again, the only applicant-based item, or not applicant, that's the only item on the agenda thus far. There's no applicant-based site plan or special land use.
Do you think you'll have information back from Emily from
Oh, yeah.
Upjohn by then? So
By
we'll at
tomorrow.
least,
Yeah,
okay.
she's quick. Okay, that's good, thank you.
So
for
we
that.
can at least revisit that if needed.
Perfect, let me write that down real quick.
That's what the girls say about you, too.
Sales. And then, looking ahead to, we can go June 25th, I think there's our meeting after June 11th. We have a special land use for 2 duplex properties. I don't know what street they're on.
That's part of this, too.
Yes. Correct. So yeah, so that, haven't reviewed those yet, just looking at the pipeline. Not many applicant-based items coming down, but just trickling. And that's the only thing. Yeah, that's all I have.
All right. Planning Commissioner comments. Larry?
I think I'm good.
Greg?
I'm good.
Joseph?
I'm good.
Jimmy?
I thought it was very good discussion tonight. I thought we talked a lot, had ideas and all that. One thing I like to know, and maybe I'll align, is I like to know what's going on with the township with different people zoning, or how can you get the information from like CABA or finding out what people are doing, so we know what's going on around the township when people ask us here and there. What's coming, stuff. What's the update?
What would that look like for you? Like, what would you hope to
I'd say
see?
it would be nice if we had information given to us maybe every 30 or 60 days, that we know what's going on in the township.
Building permits,
Building
applications
permits,
for
applications.
administrative review.
There's usually,
Good cop.
there's usually a CABA report in the Township Board packets, like once a month or so. And
Okay,
it'll
well,
tell you,
Could we get that?
it'll tell you
Yeah.
which municipality had what permits pulled and how much, and you'll see that Comstock pretty much carries CABA.
And the Treasurer Bloomfield, I don't know how you get access to that. Is that sent to you directly? 'Cause I don't have that for the
They don't send
packet.
it, really? Okay.
So I don't know if, is it monthly?
Yeah, I will forward that to you.
Yeah, I can start putting it in the
Yeah,
packet.
and then you could just add it.
Informational.
Great.
But I'd like to see what goes through your office too. As far as, what kind of reviews what kind of requests you get and what authorizations you make.
Just like, just like the big admin site plan reviews, or like, we're talking like temporary sales permits? Or like
Yeah.
everything?
How about a summary of what's,
yeah, quick summary.
how about just a paragraph or a couple paragraphs, a summary of what's going on in your world that pertains to us? Is that not for us to ask?
No, you can, yeah, no.
So like, I approved, so I think maybe something similar to like what Dakota does for summary for the Township Board, like there's X number of temporary permits that were approved over the last 30 days, X number, like something very high level. Is that kind of?
Yeah.
Yes, I just,
It doesn't have to be top secret.
no,
No, it's,
Right.
just be informed.
it's, yeah, okay. Because I will say, my hesitation is, that's usually like not the major part of my role. It's usually those bigger site plans and talking to residents. So yes, I can try my best to keep track of them. Usually I get it, send it off, and move on to the next thing.
Right.
So it will just take more time to actually get an Excel sheet and track it like that. But yes, that is possible.
I have 2 comments. The first is just to my fellow commissioners. You guys heard the new planning, or the new chair email address. It's pcchair@comstockmi.gov. If there are any ordinances, so you heard Casey say that application stuff is slow. So if there's any ordinances that you particularly have looked at or thought about that you think we should cover, please let me know so that I can start planning any of those on the agenda. And then the second item is I have some questions on the property at 7248 or 7250, because I'm
Michigan?
not sure which it is. Yes, ma'am?
50.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know that every.
Do you want a
can you just,
backstory?
yeah, can you just enlighten everyone?
Yeah, so the property was built in the 90s or late 80s. It caught on fire sometime in late summer last year, early fall. And then the applicant reached out to me, and then let's skip ahead. He asked how much he's allowed to rebuild or what the percentage is. I talked to Attorney Thal and Superintendent Hess, and even Dakota was involved in that. We deduced that it is based on 60% of the valuation of the property. The property was valued like 31K or 35K. Don't know the exact numbers anymore. He came to the Board of Appeals to try and get that bumped because he thought there was a lot more work that needed to be done. He met with a contractor, a builder, and they're able to repair it for what it is under that 60% valuation. He pulled a permit through CABA and is working on it.
I guess my question about it, first of all, I don't recall that fire, so I'm having a hard time thinking that it was while any of us were on the board, because I don't recall that happening. But in the non-conforming use ordinance, like you referenced, so 7.13, it says that they have to start work within 6 months, and that has to be completed within 12-month period after basically damages, right? So it says, so I guess my concern is, and can CABA, and this is a question because I'm trying to understand, because it's a whole thing, right? So I'm just trying to understand. So a question maybe for you, Attorney Thal, is like, how does CABA override that potentially? Because if it was late summer, we have exceeded 6 months since start of.
Who's to know when work began?
Yeah, I mean, I don't.
Well, I would think it would have to be permitted for work to start, right? Otherwise, we have unpermitted work, and there is no visible permit on that structure right now either, so that's my other concern.
It's in CABA's hands.
Yeah, I really don't know. I've not analyzed that. I don't know off the top of my head.
So if a resident has concerns about that and it violates our ordinance, like how do we handle that?
They need to contact the our enforcement, zoning enforcement,
Okay,
if there's an issue with that.
okay.
I think that the supervisor, myself, Casey, and ordinance, and the fire marshal, and CABA were all on an email thread for
Yes.
this property back when, Casey? Do you remember when that was?
It was first reached out to me in October by Supervisor Martin, and concerns arose based on the interest in this property. So if there needs to be a discussion had with the inquiries or the residents who are asking, that may need to be done. What can I say? So there's a big interest in this property from certain people, and the resident who owns the property
Doesn't want to play nice.
is just, no, he's just curious as to why there's a magnifying glass on his property. Like, I've not had any other concerns besides a few people I've spoken with, and so we just we don't know how to navigate that.
I don't know if it matters who's interested if we're violating an ordinance, but I'm just trying to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it just seems like there's,
That's any citizen's right to ask questions if the
Correct.
ordinance is being violated.
correct, so yes, we can look into see if the ordinance is violated. However, at this point, I wonder, what do we do? The permit's been pulled, he's working on it. Do we take him to court? It's been approved. What do we do?
Well, somewhere along the line, I don't think our ordinances were followed. My concern with the property, and maybe some of these planning commission isn't, is there's no driveway, and it's on a state highway. There's no access to this property, so how is this person going to access this property? And it's just a building being rebuilt, which it's non-conforming.
Yeah, it was built in the 90s, and I guess on the other side of that, how can we tell somebody who was built in the 90s, they had a fire, tear it down? So that's kind of where our non-conforming ordinance comes in at. He's allowed to, if he can rebuild up 60% of the valuation, he can do it. If he has to build 75%, tear it down.
How did they function though without a driveway?
That's not a question I have to
Attorney
worry
Thal,
about.
Well, that's an interesting question.
I have a
mean,
question, that's my question to you, because
Yeah.
it's been my question all along. I mean, I don't have a problem letting them rebuild if that's what our ordinances permit, but how are you going to access this building? I mean, you're going across the trail even, the Calhaven Trail there. There's no driveway anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have permission to have a building access onto a, I don't even know what road it's on, but you.
It's on East Michigan.
On East Michigan, you're gonna have to have approval to access the building.
That's a
So how
road.
can we have a president that was
So-
issued without a
It
way
is
to
a state
access
road.
the property? I guess then I sit here and I'm like, why did this permit even happen?
From in the 90s,
No,
recently?
just
Because it was
the
just,
whole thing, Casey. I mean, was that all one parcel at one time?
I do not know
But
the
it's
history
different,
of it.
they're
I just
different
know
numbers, Casey.
that his property is a lawful non-conforming, or legal non-conforming structure, and according to section 7.13 of the ordinance, he's allowed to rebuild up to 60% of the valuation. That's it. That's,
Yeah, so I just don't know about like the access to it, and maybe that's something the road commission has to address in terms of if there's access to that property or not.
I'll speak for myself on this, and that is just simply that, I think consistency is important. And so I think that when things like this surface, to me, you hear lots of things in the township and lots of things that people have problems with. And I generally sometimes am like, okay, yeah, like you got to kind of let some of it wash. But when there is a perception that there is inconsistency, especially when it comes to something like permitting and things like that that are fairly heavily regulated, that's why I bring it up, is because I don't like the appearance of inconsistency. And so I'm just asking so that we can clarify or understand. And so that, more importantly, from a safety standpoint of, access and access across from a state highway, that we're in an okay spot, because God forbid something happened there, and then is the township liable because a person is walking on the trail there and then a car pulls in and doesn't see I don't know,
Well, and I think the access may be controlled by MDOT, actually.
It is.
And so I would think that CABA, if they're giving somebody a building permit on a structure, they should be assuring that that structure has access onto the road.
Shouldn't they put the access in first before they go
the property.
driving into it?
The property's already there.
Yeah, I don't
know,
know
but
what their rules are.
To rebuild it, I mean,
people are having to access it to bring materials there.
We just saw it. I can explain myself. I approved the permit. It was a legal non-conforming structure. That's what it was, and he's allowed to rebuild it. So I did not see an issue of saying you need to have access. He came in saying he wants to rebuild the structure, caught on fire. Look at the code 7.13. That's what it says.
But it also says that the building has to start within 6 months after the fire, and then it has to be completed within 12 months. And so, again, we're coming back to,
And that's normally an enforcement issue because you don't want to see, buildings that are sitting there burned out, so it's saying, you have to do this work within this period of time. If you don't, then it should be an enforcement issue.
And there is a clause, sorry, Attorney Thal, there's a clause in there that says the zoning administrator could grant an extension, I believe, if insurance paperwork is shown, or something of that nature. And it was emailed to me, or he could stop by. showed me the quote, showed me what insurance gonna give them. So, no, I do not think that anything was done incorrectly here, which is why the permit was approved. If we now want to discuss procedures and look at the 7.13 in the future, then sure, and put a thing that says, need to make sure you do access, or maybe I missed it. But I approved that permit. I saw nothing wrong. I was in communication with the property owner since October. But if we think that there was inconsistencies or concerns, then sure, we can discuss that. But as of right now, I don't think that we're at risk of anything as far as legal concerns. And if the resident's pole barn catches on fire, he follows the same rule 7.13, his permit would get approved as well.
So I think somebody could go and ask MDOT about access from that lot, and maybe it's grandfathered. I don't know, what the standards are or what the requirements are, but you have to have permission from MDOT to exit or enter properties.
Well, right now, it looks like they're just driving right over.
Well, that's
the
why
road.
maybe somebody should contact MDOT about that.
Amber, would you like to do that as the chair? I guess I'm a little concerned, because I thought Casey, and I agree. I mean, residents contact us, and they say, hey, what's going on here?
Then I would love for them to contact me as well. Send them my way. I'm approving the permits. I would love them to talk to me.
Well, and that brings up my other concern, because first you said it was CABA that approved it, now you said it was you. So now who approved the permit?
So how it works is they apply to CABA, says, Casey, is zoning good? Yes, and then CABA issues the permit. So it's a check and balance there. Mike Allwine is building official there. That's how the process is. If there are any concerns with the permitting process, we can discuss that. But as I said again, it seems that his property was under magnifying glass. I was not aware of any residents asking questions besides the email thread we had going, which is why we had enforcement concerns. If we'd like to discuss this separately, we can, but it was under magnifying glass is what we all felt it was, and we just had to figure out how to proceed forward.
I don't think that
it was not preferential, is what it could sound like. It was not a preferential thing. It's just we actually stuck P's and Q's, I's were dotted, T's were crossed. I do not feel like I did anything wrong with my interpretation of the ordinance, but it keeps coming up. It's been coming up since October, and if we feel like something was done incorrectly, please let me and Mr. Scott Hess know as my boss.
I don't think this was a personal attack, or at least it certainly wasn't intended by me. I just think that it's something we have to ask questions about, and I think it's important to ask those questions in a public space, because then everyone gets to hear these answers, and it's not something that's a telephone game through the township, which we know happens all the time. So
I did answer the questions. I've answered the questions since October. I answered the questions in email thread. I am answering the questions, but it still seems like it feels like I'm being said I didn't follow the ordinance. And I don't know if I'm getting the minutes wrong or hearing it wrong, but that's what it felt like. And so, again, I will say I didn't do anything wrong, and I approved the permit, and so therefore my interpretations should stand. And if we think that's wrong, then we can adjust that going forward. A precedent isn't set right now. This is not a court of law. If it is a mistake, it's a mistake, won't happen again. But yes, no, Amber, I do not believe it was an attack. I just want to clear the air, because it's been an email chain since October regarding this property.
I wasn't attached to that email chain, so I'm just trying to get myself caught up. So again, now that I have this fun new email, it positions me to be in a place of having some of that information and trying to get myself up to speed. So thank you. I appreciate the backstory. I appreciate the walkthrough on it. And if we need to contact MDOT, I can certainly attempt to ask said questions if that would help satisfy where we're at with that, and if we need to do anything or not, and we can put it to bed. All right. With that, anyone else have anything? Circle back. Great. Meeting is adjourned.